What I do love is when a story seems to grow out of a tiny, tiny little incident. And in this particular case, I wanted to write a book about a lion. And for some reason or other, it had to be a white lion. And it's the growth of the story that is so special to me. I was in Hay at a book festival. And walking down the street, I saw this book in the window. And there was a picture on this book of a white lion. And the title of the book was The White Lions of Timbavati. Well, I bought the book. It cost me £4. And it's just a book by someone who studied a pride of white lions in South Africa in the 1960s. But it was full of these amazing photographs. And I don't know, a week or so later, I was sat on a train coming back from London to Devon, where I live. And we were coming up near a place called Westbury. And the train stopped. And what happens always when the train stops in the middle of nowhere is you look out the window, you know, where the heck am I? And there was this white horse carved on the hillside, huge white horse. And I looked down to my book and there was this white lion. And I looked up and there was this white horse and I thought, I'm going to write a story about a white lion on a hillside. That's how it starts. And I gave up completely because I didn't know anything about lions at all. It was just a really good idea. And stories always begin with a really good idea, you know. And sometimes they go and sometimes they don't. And I'd almost given up on this one. And I happened to meet at a publishing conference in Dublin. In a lift, it was the last day, I was getting in this lift and this lady got in with me. And I looked at her and I knew her. Instantly I knew this was someone with whom I had been in love when I was very young. I hadn't got a clue she was. And we stood there in the lift side by side. And I'm thinking, who's this? For goodness sake, think. And the lift was going up and suddenly I remembered who she was. She was an actress called Virginia McKenna, who had acted in a film called Born Free, which is all about lions. And I'd been in love with her when I was about 8. I probably have been ever since, actually. And I couldn't let it go. I had to say to her. I didn't say I was in love with her. I said, I want to thank you for the Born Free Foundation, what you do in terms of closing down zoos and making us think about the wildness of animals is wonderful. And she said, it's really sweet of you, thank you. And she got out of the lift thinking, like, what a weird fellow, I'm sure. Anyway, I went to my room and there was on my bed was a picture of the book I'd been over in Dublin, I think, trying to help launch. It's called The Dancing Bear. And I thought, I'll give her this book. It's about a bear in a cage. She'll be interested. So I was too shy to do anything like go and see her. I went downstairs, left it in reception. And I said, could you give this to Virginia McKenna? And I flew back to England and confessed to my wife that I'd met this lady I loved deeply. She didn't mind too much. Anyway, I got a letter a week later from Virginia McKenna saying, I got your lovely book, thank you so much. And if you ever want to know anything about lions, please let me know. You could write the most wonderful lion book. So it was one of those wonderful things which grew out of that. And so I wrote it. And then I had this marvelous editor called Anjanine Murta, who was at a firm called HarperCollins. And she and I sat down and we knocked this thing into some sort of shape. And I think it's the most perfect short book I've ever written because it's very, very short, but it's epic in the tale that it tells. So it was a joy. It still is a joy. And it's still, I think, when I meet at, which I do at book fairs and things, I get parents coming up to me and said, are you the man who wrote The Butterfly Lion? That was the first book I loved. And that's really like, I don't know how old it is now. It must be 20 plus years since it was published. So, yeah, it's got a very soft place in my heart.